let's not bury the lead. Let's not bury the lead. Look, that women's rumble was great up until Charlotte ruined everything. And maybe
His
there was a
opinion.
botch
His
with all
opinion.
those eliminations. Maybe there wasn't. We'll come back if I still have power up
We'll
my.
see. We're gonna surf the webs and see what
But let's not bury the
say.
lead. Jey Uso. Jey Uso
Tag team
won
Jey Uso.
the 2025 Royal Rumble. Jey Uso.
Tag team specialist
Super
is Jey
Kick
Uso.
Merchant. Jey Uso. He won the Royal. He didn't just win the Royal Rumble. He eliminated John Cena.
Yo. Yo.
Big match John.
Big match, John. Big match balding John.
16-time world champion.
Yo.
John Cena. That's who he eliminated to win the Royal Rumble. This is. I mean, I texted you this before we hopped on, but like,
hmm
and we've watched a lot of Royal Rumbles, if not
Yeah.
literally all of them while we've been alive. But like,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember the last time I was stunned by the winner of the Royal Rumble. Like
Yeah.
legit stunned. Never, I would never have picked him. I would never have picked him as a prediction. I don't know anybody that would have. I like,
Just fans of his. People who the
dude,
man's over. The man is
this is
over.
like every time we talk about the Rumble and we're like, oh, we want some like cool surprises, but like usually the surprise people like never win. Like Joe Hendry was never going to win the Royal Rumble.
Right.
Um, like the years that like Adam Cole and Gargano like all debuted, like they were never going to win the Rumble. But like this is something I never really thought about. Is like, what if it's not a surprise winner? It's like it's somebody you never thought would win, but it makes sense and like it's you're happy for him and like,
hmm
dude, I was just like, I can't believe it because you thought CM Punk, which made a lot of sense. A lot of people thought John Cena, which also made a lot of sense.
I went with Drew McIntyre. That was my pick.
Drew would have been good. Roman would have sort of made sense a little bit. Seth Rollins, even maybe.
Maybe.
Jey Uso, someone that I think at a certain point people probably forgot was still in the Royal Rumble. Jey Uso. How do you
Main
feel, man? I
event.
mean, we
Jay.
watched a lot of the Bloodline stuff. That's part of what got us back into wrestling a few years ago.
Yeah.
How do you feel? I mean, we saw him go from, sidekick Jay to main event Jay. How's it feel watching him win?
Honestly, it's surreal. It's pretty surreal. Especially when the bloodline stuff started, he was, an outsider looking in. It was Roman, just
Hmm.
Roman running things, and then eventually, like, he made them fall in line, both the
Hmm.
brothers. And Jay was his pretty much his best match with him.
Yeah,
Um, one of the, and that right there solidified him more as like he's not just a tag team specialist. He can go, he can
yeah.
go, and we saw that more and more. And I think just Sammy, I feel like Sammy was the hype man. Sammy was the hype man that helped start all like us rooting for Jay.
Hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
people are complaining right now. They're like, and I don't mean to get negative, but like
Are
there's
they
a lot of
really?
people are so like this is the worst Rumble ever.
Because what did they want? I was gonna say I thought this was one of the best Royal Rumble pay-per-views from start to finish.
Yeah, like or like this is the worst male Rumbles. It makes zero sense. And I'm like, you
What?
clearly haven't been following. At least like yeah, like we're call us hypocrites, call us whatever you want, but like yes, we're at fault for not always like tuning in every day,
Sure.
not watching every pay per view. But
We've become much more casual over
sure,
the last
sure.
couple of years.
But we're not casual about this storyline. We're not casual about
Oh,
Jay. So this has been like what 5 year
yeah.
pandemic years, 5 years in the making. Like basically 5 years in the making of this for Jay to be built up from tag team specialist to defying the tribal chief,
Yeah.
having beaten the tribal chief. He
Pinned
pinned
him.
Roman.
And also I wanted to say like I remember the SummerSlam match that he had with Roman,
hmm
and but you and I were pulling really hard that they should just pull the trigger on Jay. He should
hmm
be the one to beat Roman and take the title. And like
Yeah.
after that match, it came out that they never once considered having Jay win ever,
hmm
and it was just like. really?
Yeah.
Like, not nobody in the room was like, maybe Jay
Yeah.
should go over. Like, for me, and who knows what's going to happen at Mania. I think there's a very good chance he beats Gunther, assuming that Sweet challenges.
Hmm.
Um, but who knows? But like, to go from that match where he was like never considered to win to winning the Royal Rumble,
Dude.
the match where like a lot of the time you go to WrestleMania and you do win the championship.
Hmm.
Like, it's so crazy to see how far he's come. And I mean, he's always been a pretty good wrestler, maybe a few too many super kicks, but
Hmm.
he's always, been solid in the ring and very like tons of charisma. Tons of charisma.
Hmm.
I don't know how
Hmm.
he got the word yeet over in
That's the other thing.
2024.
Once he went on his solo run and like he got his new music,
Yeah.
he definitely felt like a main eventer, and he got himself there. He got Yi over, like you said, and he's selling merch. Top merch
Yeah.
seller, probably like top three, if not number one.
He had that moment in the I think was it Backlash in France, where like he
Yo,
comes out for his match and like the place was going crazy for
in
him.
France.
Jey Uso. Like, I feel like people are not quite like, this is Jey, but this doesn't happen very often. Like, I don't know, Shawn Michaels, like, I can't think of too many like legit tag teams where one guy breaks off and like actually goes on a serious main event run
Hmm.
on the main roster.
I guess
Like,
Roman.
dude, this is yeah, but I think also like I don't know, it feels very organic with Jey. Like
No, I agree.
we've seen a lot of times where it feels like the person was selected.
Yeah,
Um,
Roman.
I guess the Miz was probably a good example of like someone who left the tag team and became really successful. But
Yeah,
a lot of times it feels like it's a little forced.
for sure.
And like with Jey, if anything, it was the opposite. It was like we were watching him, a year, 2 years ago, going like, why aren't they pushing this guy more? Like he's got it. Like
Hmm.
something special's happening. And to see that they really let it like just, develop over time until like everybody's behind him. At least enough people are behind him to the point where they felt if they have him win the Rumble, people won't, shit on the match. They won't boo him. They'll be like happy. He'll get a great reaction.
Hmm.
That says a lot because WWE's had those situations where they book, quote unquote, the wrong person to win, and people shit on the end of the match.
Hmm.
And it's, usually the Rumble ends the pay-per-view, and that's a really bad way to end your show.
Right.
And there's a lot of, we talked about like the Iron Man, like usually that's the person that has a lot of faith in them because they're like, you have to know all the eliminations and the, all that.
Hmm.
Uh, but there's a lot of faith here too. Like they could have very easily gone with John Cena or CM Punk, but I think it was, maybe it was the Wrestle Talk guys, I don't remember, but somebody was like, yeah, but all those guys, like they don't need it. Like they'll be at WrestleMania.
Hmm.
Like you don't have to like we know John Cena's gonna have a match. We know CM Punk and Roman and like they're going to have WrestleMania matches. But Jey Uso, if he doesn't win the Rumble, and you want him to have like an important match that's not against his brother again. Like how do you get him there? You have him win the Royal Rumble because like he's the only one that really needs like that level of like to legitimize him as
Hmm.
like he's been calling himself main event Jey Uso, but he's never really been like really main event. He's
Right.
challenged for the world title like I guess twice maybe. Um, and one of those times was against Roman, so like
Hmm.
kind of knew it was gonna happen. But like yeah, we've seen him really become main event Jey Uso, and I just felt very happy. I mean, I felt like very surprised. Like wow, I can't believe John. It was partly I can't believe John Cena got eliminated. And then I can't believe he got eliminated by Jey Uso. And then I can't believe Jey Uso won because he
Yeah.
eliminated John Cena. And yeah, I don't know. It feels over the last several years, I remember feeling like the Rumble, which used to be my favorite pay-per-view ever, it felt like it was starting to lose it a little bit.
Right.
Like just the Rumble match itself just felt like, yeah, all right, this feels like we're just kind of going through the motions. Especially maybe with Cody winning 2 years in a row, I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm getting a little bored. And then the juxtaposition of having Charlotte win the Rumble, which is so boring. That is such a boring decision. There's no story, nothing. But to have to go from that to Jay winning
Mm-hmm.
is like just the emotional swing between those two outcomes was like, wow. Like I saw something I didn't even, not that I didn't think it would happen. I didn't even consider the same way they didn't consider him winning at SummerSlam. I never once considered Jey Uso wins the Royal Rumble,
Mm-hmm.
and that just makes it that much more magical of a moment. And it's really cool to see.
Yeah. There's nothing more really we could say other than like we will be seated. We will be watching, and we are very happy with this. At least me and Chris are. And to speak for Anthony, I think he's a main event J believer, and this was honestly a very very awesome surprise. Um,
Yeah.
this is very it felt genuinely good. The place that we were at was genuinely pretty happy. People were shocked, obviously, that he lost, that Cena lost,
Yeah.
and that Jay won. But honestly, it's a welcome surprise. I'm happy. I'm personally happy just that CM bitch didn't win. Fuck you, Phil Brooks. You still
Yeah,
lose.
and they did a good job also with like back in the day when we were kids, a lot of times the eliminations meant something, like whoever eliminated who meant something going into WrestleMania. And it felt like they kind of brought that back a little bit this year. Maybe some of this is
Hmm.
recency bias. I admittedly do not really remember the 2024, 2023 Rumbles that much.
Hmm.
But the Punk eliminating, was it Seth and Roman? And then
Hmm.
Seth losing his mind on both of them, and like who knows, that's headed somewhere between the three. I never thought I wanted to see Roman and Seth again, but now I kind of do. Um, yeah, like Jacob Fatu had a great showing.
Hmm.
Um, there was a lot of good stuff in there. Penta was great. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
Penta had a great showing for his first Rumble debut.
yeah, that was really exciting. And I thought, I think they have found a good balance of like surprise entrance and star power entrance. Because like some of the past Rumbles felt like maybe they were losing a little bit of star power. And like, say what you want about CM Punk, but like he is a draw.
Hmm.
John Cena is a draw. Roman Reigns is a draw. Those are the two of those three guys were not in the
Hmm.
Rumble the last like few years because
Yeah,
Reigns was champion and Cena was off doing other stuff.
and
Um,
CM Punk was gone for over a decade.
it's gone for a very long time. Like, yeah, this was I think part of what I enjoyed about it is like it had all the star power that we grew up with.
Yeah, and then
Every
and
a lot of guys it felt very important, and even maybe some of the guys that are more in their like mid card era right now, like the Miz and Sheamus. There was
hmm.
like those guys are still big names. And yeah, it was I really liked it. Um, I thought from start to end the tag match was really good. The world title match was really good. They both felt a little short.
Hmm.
Um, I guess that's because somehow the show went 4.5 hours
Right.
with only four matches. But I thought overall it was a really strong show. It got me excited again for future Royal Rumbles, which I'm gonna be honest, like this was kind of if this one wasn't great, I was probably gonna need to like take a step back from the Rumble which would have made me sad because I grew up loving. I remember going
Hmm.
out like buying the Royal Rumble DVDs when they would come
Yeah,
out,
yeah, yeah.
and but this one, yeah, I really liked it, even though Charlotte ruined the women's one. But yeah, yeah. What about you
Uh,
overall, man? Your takeaways, your feelings?
I'm happy for Jay. Like I said, it was a nice surprise. This point is just going to be very repetitive. I know we're both tired. We were standing up for a very long time watching this, but it was a great experience. Again, it felt good. I told you, we did have a discussion about this before off of this. Even prior to this, is like any surprise entrance, and I'm like, yeah, probably one or two. It was never gonna be any
Hmm.
legends. Even during you asked me like no Mick Foley stuff like that. Yeah, no, that's not Trips. Triple H doesn't book it like that anymore. He wants to give, I guess, some of the people who can still go, like John Cena, obviously get his
True.
flowers. Um, eventually that's gonna be Roman when he's finishing up with his career.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, it's like he's gonna make the guys shine, the current guys shine. Um, give them their spots. Obviously, the celebrity cameo, because it's good
Sure.
for business. I think we had a celebrity cameo with Speed,
Yeah.
and so I think that's a good move on it because they're trying to get that demographic that
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they want that demographic, and even then they still have a certain demographic because everybody knows John Cena. If
Oh
they're
yeah.
if they're 5 years old, they know John Cena. If you're 100 years old, you know John Cena.
Yeah.
And
Universal.
yeah, so like I guess my final thoughts too is like him popping up was nice, and I again maybe I spent too much time hating, but even then like you can't blame us as fans. That era, which I did not live through, Super Cena era. Thank God,
Oh
I didn't watch that, but seeing him with the towel saying the last time is now,
yeah.
a little emotional, not gonna lie, and I'm gonna miss the big
Maybe
guy.
maybe that's a good way to end this. I feel
Mhm.
like we should take a moment just to kind of. This was John Cena's last Royal Rumble,
Yeah,
at least for a very long time. Not to say that he
never
won't
say
come
never.
back
Yeah.
for cameos. But as we've seen over the years, like the guys that do the cameos, they don't win the Rumble.
Hmm.
They're really just in there for a quick pop and a little viral moment, and then that's it. And so at least as a legitimate competitor trying to win, to main event WrestleMania, all that jazz, this
Hmm.
was it for him. This was his last one, and it's definitely bittersweet. It feels like it hasn't really set in for me
Yeah.
that like a lot of the things we're seeing him do are
Hmm.
the last time. Like, I think either this year, maybe next year will be his last WrestleMania. Um,
Hmm.
because it seems weird that they would just end his career in December. But
Hmm.
uh, a lot of the stuff we're gonna see are his last matchups with certain people and his last pay-per-view appearances. And I still remember the 2008 Royal Rumble, probably my favorite one, which is when he came back at the end.
Hmm.
Even though I hated John Cena when I was a kid,
Hmm.
but him coming back from like whatever his injury was super quick was ridiculous. It was such an actual like legitimate surprise. And yeah, all these years later, he's still having like crazy, memorable Rumble performances, and
Yeah,
it was really cool to get to see him, one last time in like in a
it
real
was.
competitive capacity, while he
Yeah,
can still go.
well, he could still go, and
Yeah.
I also shout out to some of the older vets who are definitely going to be winding down. It's like Rey Mysterio. I don't know why he's still doing it at age 49, but kudos to him for doing it at number
Yeah.
one. Love you, Ray. Love you, John. And it's a good way to end it. But this was a great Rumble. Can't wait for WrestleMania. And WrestleMania season's officially started. So
Yeah,
let's
I'm
hear those
excited.
picks. I'm excited
I'm
too, buddy.
excited.
So thank you, everybody. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.